Ladies and gentlemen, come gather round, come gather round, come gather around. Today, we're going to work on this. A pipe anvil. Ooh, all right. Say, what's a pipe anvil for? Glad you asked. If you need to make something round, that's the beast. Getting the curve on the hood to match the nose cone on the Super 7 was me and my knee and pushing against the grass in the backyard until I got a curve that was reasonably acceptable. I kind of wish there was an easier way. This back corner on the Super 7, that was annoying to do that by hand. I'd patched a piece of rust here and had to make just a slight bend. I mean, you could put that in a vise and just bend to get the shape that you want. Pipe anvil would do it pretty easy. Making patch panels like down here in the bottom where you need it to curve a little bit, or maybe you got something screwy here and you gotta curve that this way. I did make a mini pipe anvil with a couple pieces of scrap I had lying around. Just fits in the vise. Clamp it down, piece of angle iron on the bottom, just for bending small pieces. But if you want something bigger, you're gonna need to go big. Found a guy on Facebook Marketplace selling a bunch of pipe. The guy does water drilling, and he's got all these offcuts. A variety of lengths. I picked up a 6-foot length here for about 15 bucks. And I got a bunch of other bits of Schedule 40 pipe kicking around. I'm going to use some for legs and brackets, and we'll put her together. First step, cut all the pieces of pipe that you have to the same length. This was actually a 6-foot length of 6 or 6.5 inch pipe that I had. I lopped her down to 5 feet because there was a little bit of a defect on one end. Probably doesn't matter. Then there's a lot of websites and stuff where people weld this all together, and that's probably fine, but I'm not totally confident that I'm going to be happy with the way I do this. So to make it changeable, I'm bolting it all together. That way I could change the spacers in between the bolts, or I could change to different sized tubes, or pipes rather. Until I know this is what I'm doing, right? If you make it changeable, adjustable, alterable, you'll be less bitter when you've welded it all together and then you got to saw it all apart. Pre-drilled, and then I use the Devo drill to drill it up to 3/8 of an inch. I use 3/8 bolts because in my head that looked like a decent size. Love these cordless tools, man. Awesome stuff. In the background, you can see my welding cart. If you like that welding cart, have a check out on the description up above to build your own welding cart. Free plans up there. I'm going to have free plans down below on the pipe anvil as well. If you like that sort of thing, build your own. Send me pictures of the ones that you build. Leave a comment below if you don't like building nothing. Then my comment is, why are you watching this? Drag the 5-foot length of 6 or 6.5 inch pipe in there. I marked where the holes were to try and match where the holes are going to go in the edge of the pipe. I clamped them on both sides for reasons that elude me at the moment, and then marked them on the other end and center punched and drilled as well. Cool beans. I wish I had made one of these 5 project cars ago. There's so many places where I can use this, or could have used this. Although truthfully, now that it's made, I will probably never ever use it. And if I didn't have one, I'm going to always wish I had one. So it's kind of the way it is with a lot of stuff. If you don't ever want to do it again, make sure you got one, and then you won't need it. Same thing as before, center punch. I pre-drilled with these 1/8 inch double-ended drill bits from Princess Auto, which used to be awesome. And then somehow they took the money well spent end of things and made them even less valuable, and they break and shear in half all the time. I think in one of the holes here I had to punch the broken bit out of the hole so I could keep drilling. Nevertheless, up to the Devo drill, 3/8 of an inch, and then I bolt her all together. I believe I used nylock washers, not nylock washers. If you can find nylock washers, leave a link to that in a comment below. I would like to see them. Nylock nuts, so that if there's any vibration, the thing doesn't come apart on me. Of course, now that I have it, I won't use it. It'll never come apart because it won't get used. I think I might have even drilled one size bigger than 3/8 just to make sure it's sloppy enough that all my misalignment has enough alignment that the bolts will go in.
Air ratchet. I don't like using the air ratchet a whole lot. I have one. I use it so rarely, but it's easy to get in there. So that was nice. I hate the high whining noise of it all. Couple bolts spaced with split lock washers, only because it looked thick enough for what I thought I wanted. You could use flat washers. You could cut, machine, whatever you want to give you the space that you need. I had an idea of doing like a V kind of, like a triangle kind of leg on one end. But I wasn't totally happy with the way that worked out, so I just went for basic vertical legs. They're actually easy to cut. Fish-mouthed with a hole saw on the milling machine. You could do this on a drill press, take the sharp edges off with the belt sander. And then I just shot for the middle and try to make it reasonably square, and then MIG weld it all together. I MIG welded on, well, we'll see, the edge of this. My feeling is that if I weld it on the top of that, when it shrinks, it's not going to pull it out a square. At least that was my rationale. And it worked actually dandy. Although, when you weld around, it's actually going to pull the ends of the legs up just a little bit. So off camera, I ran some welds on the bottom and then sanded it smooth just to pull it back to straight so it doesn't do the hippity hip hip while it's sitting on the floor. Of course, you'll find your floor is not level. No floors are level. In my house, no floor is level, nor is any wall true, square, plumb, nothing. So, other leg. This one has a little bit of a longer reach on it just because I chose not to cut the tubing. Same thing, make it square, tap it square, tacks on either side. Always a good tip to tack weld everything till you know you're happy with it, then fully weld it because you can change it if it's just tacked together. Here I just put a piece of metal against all three pieces of pipe and scratched through the rust, and that gave me a mark at the perfect vertical bottom of it, or top of it. Off camera I welded some nuts in the bottom of those pipes so that I could bolt it in from the inside, just in case I ever want to take it apart.
Well, that was easy.
Then I scuffed up the paint on the bottom, tapped in a piece of pipe just to keep it a little bit less rickety-rickety, tall enough that it would clear some 20-liter pails, because those just take up space. This is going to take up space. I might as well store stuff under it. Also, you can totally put some tubing or pipe or offcuts of metal in the tubing, and it'll hold tubes for you, or squares or metal or your stash or whatever it is you need to hide from somebody. It can fit inside the pipe. How cool is that? Bend and curves. Hey, thanks for watching.